Hi ladies, welcome back to part 3 of my Princess Purse mini, and I'm cutting yet again a piece of acetate to use as a pocket on another page and adhering it with the 1/4 inch sticky strip. And I've just taken a piece of trim there, cut it to size and adhering it to the top edge of that piece of acetate with some glossy accents, and set it aside to dry. And now making some more tags. So I've just taken a fairy stamp there and put some stamp some Versamark, stamp the stamp using Versamark, and then use the pink embossing powder. And now just placing some journal lines on the back of that tag, then distressing the edges with some distress ink, placing an eyelet, and now taking another stamp. This one says Princess, and placing it at the bottom of that tag. And placing some ribbon, one of Tim Holt's pins in there, with a little dancer ballerina charm. And I think that's that side of the page finish. Now taking another one of these clear stickers. I'm the queen of everything, get over it. It's just Molly all over. Alright, so I've just cut out I used a bit of lightweight chipboard and then covered it with some designer paper. This was using the Spellbinder's Nestabilities die. Just rolling away the excess glue there and wiping the edges. Punching a hole and setting a We Are Memory Keepers eyelet. Taking some scattered straw distress ink and inking up a Stampin' Up stamp called Weathered. And then inking around the edges with some distress ink there. Okay, now I'm taking some glass beads in shades of green and threading them with some green embroidery thread, and then tying quite a few knots to secure them. Just determining the length that I need. And then securing it with a few knots. and taking some silky thread there, pushing it through with my piercing tool and just tying a couple of knots in that. And the pink and green colours go really well together in this album. It's just going to sit in there like that. And I decided it needed another charm, so threading a needle with my embroidery thread, attaching a clear heart charm there. Yeah, just securing it with a few knots again. Oh, there was actually a pink charm in a glass bead between the two green beads. Okay, taking a piece of chipboard and cut a frame there using my Big Shot. Painted it with the white gesso and now covering it in the pink crackle paint, distressed crackle paint. And that's the inside section of that frame, so I'm just tracing that onto the back of a piece of designer paper and cutting out just probably about a 1/16 of an inch, maybe even an 1/8 of an inch around the edge of it, and then adhering that to the piece, was it a piece of chipboard? Yeah. And okay, so I cut out a piece of the designer paper exactly the same, and a piece of white chipboard, and now going over it with the distressing. So now I'm hurrying up the drying process of this frame and just distressing it even more with my sanding block, spraying it with some pearl glimmer mist. And speeding up the drying process there. Now just cutting some very thin strips of dimensional tape and placing that all around, around the two sides and base, and adhered it to the page. Punched a hole and set an eyelet in that little inside section and attaching some ribbon, and that will sit inside that frame. Okay, out of time again, so stay tuned for part 4. Bye guys, thanks for watching.